Hey, welcome in. My name is Shawn Spencer of Shawn Spencer Photography. I am a photographer in the Elk Grove, California area. I specialize in newborn sessions, senior portraits, family photos, headshots, couples, and children. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about communication and why it's really important as a photographer to have a good communication outline or process in communicating with my clients. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today and how I like to communicate with my clients so that they have a general overall really good experience throughout the process of getting their photos taken, all the way from booking to picking up their photos, leaving a review, etc. So it's really important because no matter what small business you're trying to run, communication is a key factor in the success of that business. So whether it be a service-based business or such as photography or something else like a product business, communicating with your customers or your clients is one of the key steps, I think, in the success of the business. Because if a client doesn't feel like they're getting communicated to, they don't understand the process, they're not going to have a good experience. And it's not going to be something that they want to refer others to. And they're not going to be in the know about important steps. And overall, it's just going to leave a very negative taste in their mouth, so to speak. So it's really important, especially with building new clients and getting new clients in, communication is key. And so I feel like for me as a photographer, my communication style, I like to communicate a lot with my clients. I don't want to over communicate as far as overwhelming them, but I don't want to just book the session and then sit back and just wait. That's just not my style. So kind of the four key factors in, as far as I'm concerned, is responding quickly. That's one of the key factors. And I'm going to kind of go over some more like a step-by-step process of how I like to communicate from, booking or the inquiry all the way to the end. But first I want to just kind of talk about some general communication styles that I like. For instance, responding quickly. So as soon as somebody reaches out to me, I like to respond within the hour. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Setting expectations up right up front of how the process works, what's the pricing, trying to answer as many questions up front as possible. So before they even decide to book with me, they already know how things are going to go and what the process is. So they're not going to be left with questions of like, well, how much is this going to be? Or how does this work? Or what have you? They're going to know everything so that they can make an informed decision about whether or not they want to use me as their photographer. Okay, so from that process on, and part of that though is also sending out emails for prep guides, brochures, etc. And we're going to go into that a little bit and more in depth in a few minutes. Okay, so another part of the process is follow-up. So that is very important because you don't want to just send out the initial email and then, like I said, sit back and just wait and see what happens. You want to follow up and make sure that they're getting their emails, especially a lot of times they can go to spam. I've had clients say, oh my gosh, your emails ended up in spam. That's a rarity, but you always just want to follow up, make sure, did you understand this? Do you have any questions, etc. And then one of the biggest things is I like to use a client management system or a CRM that handles my contracts, all of my emails, etc. So I use Honeybook and I have loved them. It makes things so much easier to stay on top of communicating, sending out invoices and contracts and questionnaires, etc. So it just kind of keeps everything all in one location. And I feel like I'm better prepared to communicate effectively with my clients by using Honeybook. So now I kind of want to talk to you about my communication and how I do it from start to finish. So a lot of times I get some sort of inquiry, and again, it comes through Honeybook because my contact page on my website is connected to my Honeybook account. So usually what happens is somebody will email me, fill out their contact form on my website, and it notifies me that there's a new inquiry. So I read through kind of what kind of photo session they're looking for, and kind of look through their information. And then the first step is to send them an email with my portrait brochure. So I have different portrait brochures based on different types of photography. So it's for family, if it's for seniors, newborns, headshots, etc. So what I do is I send them this email and along with the portrait guide. And the portrait guide has all this information about pricing, about packages, about products I offer, how the process works, testimonials, FAQs, different steps, and so forth. So everything's nice and tidy right there. And then from within the the brochure, they're able to select what package they're interested in. Now, this is not them committing to anything. This just gives me feedback on, okay, so for example, for senior portraits, I offer 3 different packages. So they respond by clicking on the package they might be interested in, and then that gives me some information. Okay, so they're looking for this type of package, and then we can kind of go from there. I do get communications through Facebook, Instagram messaging, etc. But I don't use them as often because I do respond and I respond quickly, but I'm not always on social media. So I always like to direct in any of my posts on social media to direct them to my contact page. But I do respond to Messenger, and then usually what I do is I ask them for their email so that I can send them all the information, the portrait guide in the initial email. So in that initial email, along with the portrait guide, I give them information about how it would work in booking a session with me, what the steps are going to be, all the way from filling out sending me the package information, maybe what location they're looking at, and what can I kind of get into that in a little bit, but all the way from, like I said, filling out the questionnaire, signing the booking contract, paying the deposit, etc. So I outline all the expectations and how that's all going to work in that initial email, along with the portrait guide, so that they have all of the information right at their fingertips, right from the get-go, so that they can make an informed decision. Okay, I know this is how this is going to work, and there's that expectations that are set in the beginning. So I like to do that. So what I like to do is I send that information out, the initial email, and sometimes I get clients, they respond right away. But if they don't, I like to give them a 3-day kind of window to follow up with them, just to say, hey, I just wanted to follow up. Did you get that? The brochure I sent you, did you have any questions, etc. What's great about Honeybook, it allows me to see if my clients have read the email that they got. It shows me that it's read or unread. So that's kind of nice. So if it's showing unread, what I like to do is I'll follow up with a text, like an email, but then I also follow up with a text message, because a lot of times if I'm seeing that they're not read it, I'm concerned that maybe it's gone to spam. So I just want to follow up with a text message to make sure that they got that email. And a lot of times, like I said, for those, it's a rarity, but on those occasions, sometimes it does go to spam. And so then they can respond. But generally, I wait for 3 days to do a follow-up, and then I'll get that information back from the clients. So once they have responded and they have picked out the package that they're interested in through the brochure, then what I do is I like to follow up with a questionnaire. The questionnaire is pretty simple. It just gives me some additional information about the session type that they're looking for, their expectations. Maybe they've seen photos that they've liked or have examples. Maybe they want to send me their Pinterest board, or what have you. And especially for seniors, I like to gather the information about what school they go to, if they've been in any clubs or activities, etc. So all that is I get from the questionnaire. And then as part of that, after I send them the questionnaire, I like to send them as well with the questionnaire my location guide. So I put together a location guide of some of the top 10 locations in the Elk Grove area that I like to use. Now, the clients are not they don't have to choose one of those locations. Obviously, I do other locations, but a lot of times clients say, I have no idea what location to use. Can you give me some help? So the location guide I put together has information about the location, example photos, if there's any kind of payment for parking, if there's parking, etc. So it has all that information at their fingertips to help them kind of narrow down a location. So once they've gone through the questionnaire and they've sent that back to me, and we've kind of gone back and forth in the email, deciding on a location, a date and time, then I send them the booking contract. And the booking contract outlines what package they're interested in, or if it's just like a family session, etc. It has all of the terms and agreements, model release information, etc. And so that they can fill out the information, sign it, and then pay the deposit. I always require a $40 deposit with the signed contract to hold the date. Okay, and then the remaining balance of the portrait session or the package that they purchase or they want is due the day before the session. Okay, so once that has gotten out of the way, I like to send out my prep guide and my style guide. So I have a family style guide. I also have a senior style guide, a prep guide for seniors. For newborns, I have a prep guide on how to prep before the session with newborns. And with seniors and newborns especially, I have a checklist as part of that. So it keeps them organized and it helps them go through the different steps, gathering the things that they are going to need, etc. And I found this has been really helpful in stating off any kind of questions, kind of going back and forth, because everything's right there in the guide. So from the time they book, they know, okay, the next step is I need to be taking care of this. And then the style guide has information about matching outfits or just your outfit choices or how you want to do that for whatever type of session you're going to have. Okay, now what I like to do is a couple of days before the session, I will email, well, usually with seniors, let me go back. With seniors and newborns, about a week prior to the session, I like to touch base and again, send out that checklist. Okay, these are the things that you're going to need to do this week to get ready for your session. Because both of those are very specific styled type of sessions, and I want to make sure that they have everything prepared. So then a couple of days prior to the session, I'd like to touch base and just firm up all the details of the session, the location, where we're going to meet, the time, everything that has to do with the session, reminding them to make sure that they have any props they're going to be bringing or the outfits, everything, and then ask them one more time if they have any questions or concerns prior to the session. Okay, so I like to do that just to firm up the details. And then the day of the session, I always like to text my clients. I don't email, I text, because a lot of times not everybody checks their emails on the regular. And so I find that everybody kind of holds their phones though, or have them handy. So I text them to let them know, hey, any last minute questions, or if there's any last minute details I need them to be aware of. And then just to text them, hey, we're an hour out. I'll be seeing you in an hour. And I always like to let them know when I'm going to be leaving to go to the session. Okay, so we get to the session and we do our session, and that's great. Once we get to the session, I will preface this by saying I love to spend about 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the session outlining the steps we're going to take in the session, kind of putting them at ease, kind of giving them an idea of how the session is going to flow, and talking with them about outfits and so forth. So I always kind of do a little communication before the session even begins, and that usually helps kind of relax everybody. So that's part of the communication style that I like to do. Okay, so we fast forward, we've gone through the session. My next communication step, so to speak, is to send out sneak peeks the next day. I know everybody's very anxious to see the photos that we've taken, so I always try to send at least 5 to 6 images, sneak peeks, just that they have something to look forward to. So then I always, usually I kind of like to under promise and over deliver. I think that's the way you say it. I like to let them know that it could be a week to 2 weeks prior, for them to see their gallery. And then I always strive to try to get it to them faster. It just really depends on how many sessions I have that week. But I always like to let them know when they're going to see their sessions or their galleries. But when it's time and their gallery is live, I always email and text them using both methods to make sure that they know, hey, you're going to be getting an email. This is going to have your link and password for your gallery, and just to let them know that it's up and ready to go and they can see everything. So I like to give them a couple of days to absorb all of their images and go through the gallery and just, spend time enjoying their photos. And then about 2 to 3 days later, I will email and I will ask them if they need any help with ordering, or if they have any questions, or if they want any changes to like collages I've put together. And I also send them my product pricing guide. So the product pricing guide has all the information about my pricing for prints, digitals, coffee table books, etc. Everything I offer in the gallery store is in that product pricing guide. So I send them that along with an email just to say, hey, just touching base. Were you able to get onto the gallery? Is there any problems? Do you have any questions? Do you need any help with ordering? So I always like to kind of follow up with that. And then I'm always available within reason to help my clients with the ordering process. So generally, I am usually at my desk by 10:30, my computer and stuff, and usually up until about 6 or 6:30, I'm available to help clients walk through any process. I have clients ranging from they don't need any help, they're really good with the computer, they know what they're doing, all the way to, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, can you help me? And then I can walk them through that process. So once they have ordered, I let them know, hey, I got your order. Everything looks great. I will let you know when the order comes in. And when it does, it comes back from the lab and I've packaged up their order. Then I like to text them and email them and let them know, hey, your order's in. It's available for pickup. And then I arrange with them a date and time for them to pick up their order. So then they come and pick up their order and we have like a little follow-up conversation. About a day or two after they've picked up their order, one of the final steps I like to do is I send them out like a little bit of a survey. And I like to get their feedback on their whole experience of the process. So it's important for me to get feedback from my clients so I know what I'm doing right, what I need to improve on, what may have been not working in the whole chain of events, because I'm always wanting to improve myself. And the only way I know to do that is to get that feedback from the clients. And then I also ask for a review from my clients on my Google page. And this is really helpful for me to, with the Google algorithms and so forth, and just having other people see, hey, this person had a really good experience. I want to give this photographer a try. And as part of a thank you for filling out the survey and leaving a review, I always like to give a little something back to my clients. So it's either a free print or maybe it's a couple of free digitals. It's whatever that they're wanting. So that's just a way to thank them for leaving that review. And then once they've done that and we've kind of gone past, usually about a week or so later, I'll just do one final email follow-up just to let them know, hey, I'm so thankful that you chose me as your photographer. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, please, let me know. And then I pretty much archive everything for their session and then I'm good to go. Okay, so that's kind of how my communication is from start to finish. But I also wanted to kind of mention briefly the ways I like to communicate. As you can tell by everything I just mentioned, I'm a very big into emailing. I feel like everybody has their phone handy and a lot of people have their phones, their emails connected with their phones, etc. So I do a lot of emails, text messaging for sure. And then I'm always available for a phone call if my client wants to walk through anything over the phone. Generally that doesn't, it's rare, but we do. But a lot of times just that the emailing and the text messaging works. And then again, going back to the whole Facebook Messenger and Instagram, if I'm contacted through those, I like to then just say, hey, let me get your email, and then I can send them the email, and then we can go from there. Because again, I'm not on socials that often, and I don't want to miss sending something to someone or communicating back and forth that way. I just prefer the email and the text messaging. So again, just to kind of wrap things up, I really feel that communicating with your clients and having some sort of a structure on how you communicate can really enhance the overall experience for your clients and make them repeat customers or clients, as well as letting them, or maybe getting them to review for you or to refer you to someone else. And it just kind of overall gives a great experience to them. And that's truly, it's not always just about the photos, it's about the whole experience. And so I feel like my communication style really enhances how my clients feel about me personally as a photographer and about their experience getting their photos taken. So hopefully this has been informative for you on how I like to communicate to my clients. And I would love to earn your trust and you as a client. So if you're interested in booking a session, see below, you can link to my contact page, where then I will send you my portrait guide and that initial email. And so hopefully I can earn your trust as your photographer. Please don't hesitate to email me or if you have any questions, and I look forward to talking with you soon in the future and seeing you on the other side of the camera.